Okay, let's get into it. We're looking today at, well, a pretty disturbing event, a drive-by shooting.
Yeah, and targeting a major church outlet, ABC 10 in Sacramento, KXTV.
Exactly. And while thankfully no one inside was physically hurt, the whole situation just really opens up a lot about, media, politics, and the suspect himself.
Mm-hmm. The suspect, 64-year-old Anibal Hernandez-Santana. The details around him are, well, they're quite specific, aren't they?
They really are. And that's our mission today, right? To go beyond just the headlines shooting at news station.
Right. We need to look at what we actually know about this guy, Hernandez-Santana, his background, his alleged political comments that have surfaced.
And put it all in the context of what was happening right outside that station, literally the day before. There's a lot simmering there.
Definitely. So the basic facts first. Friday night, shots fired into the ABC 10 building.
An occupied building. That's key. Sources say at least 3 shots hit the building.
Yeah, Tegna, the owner, confirmed everyone was safe, thankfully, and they're working with police. But imagine being inside.
Oh, absolutely terrifying for the journalists working there. A direct attack.
It really is an attack on, well, on the press, on a public institution.
Yeah.
And the response shows how seriously it was taken.
Okay, let's focus on that immediate aftermath. The arrest, the charges, it happened fast.
It did. Hernandez-Santana was picked up early Saturday morning. They didn't mess around.
And the charges are heavy hitters.
Extremely serious. Assault with a deadly weapon, that's one. Negligent discharge of a firearm. And shooting into an occupied building, that's very specific.
Yeah, those aren't minor offenses. Speaks volumes about the perceived danger.
Yeah.
What about bail?
Set at $200,000. High bail.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a court date scheduled.
And we also heard the FBI got involved in the search.
That's right. ABC News Live reported the FBI assisted local police. You often see that with higher profile targets like a media organization. Raises flags,
It does. It makes you think, okay, potential political motive, maybe domestic terrorism concerns. But here's where it gets tricky.
This is the crucial bit for you listening. Despite all that, despite the target being media, law enforcement has been very careful.
Very deliberate in their language.
Exactly. They've officially stated that no motive has been determined. Not yet, anyway. They're treating it as a serious crime, yes, but not labeling the why.
And that gap between the context we see and the official no motive line, that's where we need to dig deeper. So who is Anibal Hernandez-Santana?
Well, the profile is interesting. He's 64, retired.
Okay. Not exactly the image that might first spring to mind.
Not at all. And he wasn't, completely off the grid politically. His LinkedIn, other reports, show he used to be a legislative director.
For who?
For the California Federation of Teachers.
Yeah.
So he has a history of working within the political system in education advocacy.
Right. Seems like a professional background involved in state politics. Doesn't immediately scream violent actor.
There's more to it.
Yeah.
When you look closer, there's a documented history of, let's say, conflict, intense reactions.
Okay. Tell me more.
Well, reports say he was dismissed from a previous job back in 2018.
Dismissed how? Like a layoff?
No, not quietly.
Right.
It apparently involved a confrontation with supervisors. And it escalated to the point where the police had to be called.
Police intervention at a workplace dispute? That's significant.
It is. It suggests a pattern, maybe. Escalation under pressure. Someone who doesn't back down, perhaps resorts to confrontation.
Okay, so we have that history, and then there's the social media angle. His alleged posts.
Oh, yes. This is where the political commentary comes in, and it's pretty extreme. The source material details some specific, very hostile things found on his X account.
Primarily anti-Trump sentiment, is that right?
Very much so. And not just, I disagree with his policies. It went much further into really aggressive territory.
Like wishing harm.
Explicitly. There's one quote that's been widely reported. He apparently wrote, "Where is a good heart attack when we need it the most?"
Wow.
And he continues, "Please join in my thoughts and prayers for the physical demise of our fearful leader."
Physical demise.
Yeah.
That's unambiguous. That's not just criticism.
Not at all. It's direct, hostile, wishing for death or serious harm, targeting a former president.
And was that a one-off or?
Sources say there was more. Another post mentioned where he apparently wrote that opponents of the Trump administration needed to, quote, fight like hell.
Fight like hell. Okay.
Yeah.
So summing up this part of the picture, a retired professional, worked in politics, but also had a workplace conflict involving police, and used extremely violent rhetoric against political opponents.
That's the profile emerging. And this is the individual arrested for allegedly shooting into a news station.
But hang on, if his documented anger was so strongly anti-Trump, why target an ABC affiliate? I mean, ABC and national news outlets are often targets of criticism from the right, not usually the left. It feels counterintuitive.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it connects his profile to the immediate context. The official answer is still no motive determined.
Right.
But the contextual answer might be about generalized anger, about media becoming a sort of all-purpose target in these polarized times. If someone's already wound up, already considering violence.
The specific ideological alignment of the target might matter less than the fact that it's media and it's there, especially given the atmosphere right then.
Precisely. And the atmosphere around ADC 10 specifically was incredibly tense just before the shooting.
Okay, let's get into that. Section 3. This shooting didn't happen in a vacuum.
Not at all. It happened just one day after a protest right outside the ABC 10 building.
A protest? Why were people protesting that specific local station?
It ties back to national politics, specifically comments made by the late-night host Jimmy Kimmel.
Ah, okay. Kimmel's on ABC, so the local affiliate becomes the proxy.
Exactly. Kimmel had made some comments related to that really high-profile tragic case involving the killing of Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist.
Right, I remember that. Huge story. What was the controversy with Kimmel's comments?
Well, the suspect accused of killing Kirk is Tyler Robinson, and there was immediate debate about Robinson's own political leanings. Kimmel seemed to push back against early attempts to label Robinson a conservative.
Suggesting maybe people were jumping to conclusions about the motive?
Something like that. He criticized how some might be framing it. But then reports started coming out from officials in Utah and other media.
And what did those reports suggest about Robinson?
They indicated Robinson actually expressed far-left views, referenced Antifa, seemed influenced by that ideology, according to investigators.
Oh, so Kimmel's comments, even if not intended that way, landed badly with people who felt the media was maybe downplaying the alleged killer's left-leaning views because the victim was conservative.
That seems to be the perception that fueled the anger, yes. It fed into a narrative about media bias.
Okay, I see the chain now. Kirk's killing debate over Robinson's ideology, Kimmel comments, perceived media bias, protest outside local ABC station.
That's the sequence. The local station, ADC 10, became the focal point for that national frustration, a physical place to direct the anger.
And then just 24 hours after that specific politically charged protest,
That same building is hit by gunfire.
allegedly by Hernandez-Santana, who, as we just discussed, has his own history of extreme political rhetoric, but aimed at the other side of the spectrum, anti-Trump.
It's complex, isn't it? You have this building, ABC 10, suddenly becoming a flashpoint. One day, it's the target of anger related to Kimmel and the Kirk case. The next day, it's physically attacked, allegedly by someone whose documented rage is directed elsewhere politically.
It's like the building itself became a symbol of just general political grievance, a target for anyone angry at the media.
That could be one interpretation. The shooting becomes this intersection point. Intense protest environment followed by an act of violence. The suspect's specific ideology might be anti-Trump, but the target he chose was already embroiled in a separate, intense political conflict.
It really paints a picture of how volatile things are. Media outlets aren't just reporting the news, they're seen as players in the conflict, and therefore, targets.
Sadly, yes. And it shows this isn't just about, young radicals online. Here we have a 64-year-old retired professional. The toxicity seems widespread.
So if we boil this down for the listener, what are the key takeaways from piecing together these sources? It's definitely not a simple story.
No, you have to hold both tracks in your mind. Track 1, the specific act. One individual, Hernandez-Santana, 54, retired, history of conflict, documented extreme anti-Trump rhetoric, allegedly shoots at a media building.
Okay, that's the individual track.
Track 2, the environment. This act happens immediately after that same building was the site of a protest fueled by a completely different but also highly polarized national political controversy involving Kimmel and Kirk.
So the act is nested within this broader context of intense political anger directed at that specific location.
Exactly. And the so what from all this? What does it tell us?
It feels like it reveals just how dangerous the current level of political rhetoric has become.
I think so. You see these documented words wishing death on a leader, and then you see a physical act of violence against a related institution, the media. It strongly suggests a link between extreme words and violent actions, even if law enforcement isn't calling it a motive yet.
They might need a higher legal bar for motive or terrorism, but for anyone observing, the components are all there, aren't they? Intense political hate, followed by violence.
The connection seems hard to ignore. A retired legislative director, someone who knew the system, ends up arrested for a drive-by shooting at journalists. It's a stark commentary.
On the breakdown of political discourse, maybe.
Perhaps, when dialogue devolves into calls for physical demise, maybe the next step for some is attacking the places where dialogue is supposed to happen, the media.
Makes you think about responsibility. Media, politicians, individuals online. How does this atmosphere get de-escalated?
That's the huge question. Which brings us to a final thought, something for you to consider, based purely on the facts we've discussed from the sources.
Okay.
We have the suspect's documented history, his explicit, violent online commentary targeting a political figure. How do you, as someone trying to understand this, weigh those very specific details against the official police statement that no motive has been determined?
Yeah, what's our role as news consumers, as citizens, in processing that context? The police have their reasons, their standards of proof, but the pattern seems so clear in the source material. How do we navigate that gap?
It's a challenge, staying objective, but also recognizing the connections and the potential warnings embedded in this kind of rhetoric and history, something to keep thinking about.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you for joining us to unpack this really complex and, frankly, disturbing set of events. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.